Okay, so it's time. Welcome to week 2 of the class. Not too sure why not everybody is here. Let me just check. And hold on, let me move my Zoom interfaces around so that I can see things better. Since Zoom is always reorganizing things. Let me also record this to the cloud. Okay. As usual, if things go haywire, like for example, just now, some of you were seeing the Slack screen. Oh, sorry, I'm still shifting things around. I'm not sure why. Yeah, I was saying, for example, if yeah, the Slack screen is blurred out due to some underlying interactions between the iPhone portrait mode and you know, the OBS filters as well as the Zoom filters. Somehow I switch off everything, it still turns on. But now I'm sharing through a different manner. Yeah. If you are also, I mean, not also, I'm not a streamer, but if you are a streamer and wondering what happened just now, well, basically now I shared the projector preview screen on OBS instead of doing a virtual virtual webcam. What we call it? Virtual camera. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let me just again, you know, shift things such that it doesn't block my view. Okay. Yeah. Let's start. So let me see who is saying stuff. Hey, thanks for Zachary for helping to set the channel, or rather look at the channel topic. Yes. Just a reminder again, it's a bit strange that, you know, not everybody's in this channel since I've announced it many times. So if your friends are still not, you know, understanding that every week's material is organized into new channels, which you have to click here. Every week I will announce in general, and if you click here, you will jump into the new channel, which you will not see somehow. Okay, Slack doesn't announce new channels when there's no way to do that in Slack. All right, so the only way is I will announce and you will click. Okay, thanks. Why angry face? Japanese goblin. Okay, not really angry face. But anyway, yes, that's the first thing you should do every week lah, so that you can see what is expected of you. So the first thing, as I always mention, I will not always repeat this this admin stuff, but just one more time that every week you should certainly see that what we are expecting you to achieve. So just, you know, go through this list after the week and see if you can do each one of these things. All right, most of the things are like explaining. Next week onwards is a lot of it will be implementing stuff. Okay, so just again one last time, you know, the structure of this the weeks, right, the learning activities is basically for the scheduled hour, the lectorial hour. There's two parts. The first part is me giving you some material. A lot of the material is actually in the show notes, or, you know, the video description. If you look at the video description, it's a rather long list, yeah, which, you know, a lot of them are like papers. All right, academic papers. Not expecting you to like read in detail every line in every paper, but at least, you know, go to the abstract and read it, okay, and see if there's anything that you know, piques your interest. I'm not sure why this is loading so long, but yes, at least read the abstract. Let me just click on another one, see what is happening here. Yeah, I think it's just the server issue or something. Yeah. This abstract still short. Oh no, sorry. This is not the full abstract. But anyway, yes, there's always an abstract to every academic paper. So please at least read this and see if there's anything that you totally, cannot understand what it's talking about, or you have interest in finding out more. You should certainly read the full paper. There's two, in a way, more compulsory things that you should read. Not that I want people to read more of my papers, but it is actually related to what we're talking about, since I use my paper as an example. So let me just close this stuff. Again, if I am showing the wrong things, please let me know in the chat. I should probably open up the chat. Yeah. Okay. So I was saying in here, right? And also on Slack, as I've mentioned, you should certainly look at, where did I mention this? Yes, here. You should definitely look at the whatever that I've mentioned here, which is really the two things that is linked in the video description. The first two things are, if you come back to here, the video presentation, which is another, I think 15 minutes thing. 15 minutes, 8, at the most 8 minutes only. Okay, so this is what the paper is about. When I presented at Kai, okay, note that Kai is part of one of the conferences that this organization, which if you're not in research, probably you wouldn't care about such organizations, but ACM is the largest research actually industry as well, organization that manages new knowledge and basically new initiatives in the space. All right, so Kai is the biggest conference, the most difficult to publish as well. So any publications here certainly have gone through a number of experts who reviewed this and made sure that it is well verified, validated knowledge. Yeah. So that's why also, a lot of these things are based on publications. But anyway, so please go and look at this if you haven't, and also the paper. Okay. One thing, academic papers. I'm not trying to teach research methods or whatever here, but just saying that since I expect you to access this stuff, sometimes you may wonder, this looks like something that needs to have an account, and a paid account even. But actually the library, right? If you go through, what is this, SIT library, sorry, STI, SIT, you can actually access most of the paid online publication avenues, okay, including ACM, right? So you can just search for ACM, and any link that's put out there should link to some ACM paper. Okay, whatever this content is, even if it's page not found, the main thing is you get to this page through the Singapore Institute of Technology login. Okay, if you want to directly paste this or remember this URL, you also can do that. ACM stores most of the articles that we are interested in. The other famous repository is IEEE. Okay, IEEE Explore is the database name. Okay, in case you are trying to access articles, this tool should cover most of the computer science good articles out there. I'm not saying that they definitely would cover all, but they would have most of them. Yeah, but yeah, just showing that this is how you would access that paid site to get the full article. Okay, so that is how you would go through the material in your self-study part of each week's lecture. Not saying that every week there's academic publications, but likely, since VR, AR is a pretty moving really quickly, and a lot of knowledge is like created as we speak. Yeah. Okay. So since I'm on here, right? I also mentioned, this thing, right? Some of you have, or rather one of you, lah. Okay, I keep jumping around, but I was just remembering that there was this comment. Yeah, if you haven't done the feedback, yeah, please, help to just tell me what your thoughts are. Okay. Um, and also because this is the first run, I mean, I'm expecting the first run to be really bad, so I'm ready for any bad comments. So feel free. Like this one, can't believe I'm paying for this. Wow, I'm so hurt seeing this. But no, I just want to point out that yeah, I mean, of course, I respect every comment that you are willing to spend time to write, but please give some details of why you are feeling this way. Okay, anyway, I was remembering what VR. What was I talking about? Yeah, this join. Yes. The thing is that this comment is saying disconnect with the task. Yeah. And if you look at this week's content, it certainly doesn't look like anything related to implementation or JavaScript or anything. But as I mentioned, the idea is really, before you even start coding, even start developing anything, I think it is important to understand what are we actually building, right? So that, which is what I was trying to impress here, and why testing or evaluation is right at the very start. I've made the mistake of doing testing right at the end, and students only realizing what exactly are we targeting. Then it's probably too late, and you will be thinking that the course is like trying to handhold you on implementation, but it's really not. It's about understanding what exactly this unique immersive application is, and then you build the necessary parts that actually give you that goal. Which is why this topic, the topics over here are like trying to establish the unique qualities of what an immersive application entails, all the important more towards design concepts. I mean, this module is not really just about implementation. A lot of it is about design, and in particular it is about translating your design into code. Yeah. Okay. So any questions, let me know. Yeah, all the things here, you should probably just browse through them. The two essential ones are the paper once again. Yeah, let me just close this stuff. Okay, and also since I'm here, right? Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much expected for the first week. Yes, there's not much of useful content in this first week, I guess. But yeah, thanks for still scoring above halfway point, right? Okay, so let's hope that the amount of useful content increases every week. Okay. Attendance. Yeah. So as mentioned, I am going to take the online attendance through the Zoom record. Okay, so please try and log in into Zoom. Otherwise, you would need to take a screenshot of wherever you are viewing from. Or I mean, if you're the only other place you are viewing from should only be the YouTube stream, right? In the worst case that somehow you cannot log in into the Zoom session. Okay, otherwise you should be in the Zoom session so that you can participate in the quiz here, all right? This comment, instructor changes. No, there won't be any instructor changes. I'll be the main person who is running the show and organizing everything together. That being said, obviously I'm not the only person who is facilitating your learning activities. There's still Song Jia, who will be also closely involved in the implementation parts of things, and then there's Indra, who will help you with that as well, and so on. But I'll be the main guy, and trying to structure the learning experiences and the learning facilitate the learning experiences every week. Yeah. So there's this module is one of the modules that don't have halfway change lectures. Okay. Yeah, this one, yeah, I saw this and then I opened up ChatGPT lah. So, not saying that it's like it's gonna solve all your problems, but it's just a nice, structured, easy way to get information about new ways to do things. Um, Obviously it cannot replace a proper course if you're trying to go through everything in a structured manner, but here we are assuming that you guys have gone through the most difficult language, C++. No, I shouldn't say that because it's not really the most difficult language, but it is a language that covers every detailed concept construct of programming in a deep sense. So with that, I think it's actually much easier for you to pick up any other language. I know we always say that, but it's still a fair bit of work if you really want to become an expert, coder in JavaScript, for example. But just saying that this is not the focus. Okay, so use as much help as possible. We used to do Stack Overflow a lot, but this is, in my perspective, much nicer than Stack Overflow, which you sort of need to search sporadically for and piece together different content. Here, ChatGPT that just does that a bit more nicely for us. I know I typed in something that's super generic, which most of the time we shouldn't be doing this on ChatGPT, but I run out of creative ideas what to show here. Okay, but just saying that, yeah, it will not like solve all your problems directly. And it's not like I give you any task, when you design something, you want to translate into code, you go and type your design here and it will give you the code that you cut and paste and it works. Okay, especially in this VR, most of the time you copy and paste Babylon.js code, right? It wouldn't work directly in the way that you want, which is why we are here, right? Which is why this is still a structured module, but it gets you in a good ballpark for you to start working on things. And for every detailed thing that you may not understand, you can continue the conversation and just get a quick response to everything that you need to know in terms of translating your design into implementation. All right. Okay, so do make use of this. I know that this is many others may frown upon this, but I think we should embrace the new tools, powerful tools that we have over here. All right. Yeah, I think I what did okay. Okay, all noted, bullet points, written content. So we will see, of course, I'm not a big fan of writing lecture slides. Okay, I feel that when we watch stuff explained with visuals, it allows us to understand some things and have it ingrained in our understanding much better. All right, but anyway, I will psychology. Yes, this week is psychology. I will read these comments, so please write it down. I'm just giving a high level overview of what I will do here in terms of the feedback, and then we will improve as time goes on. Okay, with that, let's go back to what we intend to do today. Okay. Yes, I just gave the answer for this. And no, the answer is not here. Let me present this. Okay, so that was just now that Mentimeter was meant for just survey. This is a different number. Okay, so please jump to this Mentimeter room instead if you were in that previous one on the survey. Okay, so this week is about evaluating immersive experiences, and yeah, it's a lot about psychology, right? When building applications and considering the experiences of users, I think we sort of cannot run too far away from understanding some of these concepts. Yeah. Yes, question 1. So we will Similarly, you know, every week, this part 2 of the lectorial use Mentimeter quizzing to structure our revision of the content that you're supposed to have already read through before this. The time again, you know, I know I'm always like a broken record, right? Repeating things, but I will just repeat things enough to get everybody on the same track. But just saying that yes, there's time catered during the scheduled hours for you to catch up lah. But I think starting early certainly helps in getting through more of the content in your own time better. There's also a podcast version of this in case you you know, just want to wash the dishes and listen to the concepts. Yeah, I've made it such that, you know, you do get a fair amount of knowledge even just listening to the things. Yeah, but the best experience is certainly looking at the video because it has the visuals. Okay, let's start. I think the first question I just have it there as a way to let you remember what we did the last time. Okay. So the last time we spoke about some history. This is not like a history module, obviously. Some of you are wondering the quiz, would I ask, you know, very factual questions? Well, sometimes, you know, there's some facts that probably you should have at the back of your hand, but generally we try and test your ability to apply knowledge to, you know, to build things lah. Okay, even in quiz form, we try to evaluate your applied skills rather than, you know, just factual knowledge. Yes, false is the correct answer. Okay, because if you look at let me just go back to week 1, which is here. Okay, just a simple thing to remember that, yeah, XR or VR, sorry, was invented a long time ago. So-called invented. Yes, it is pretty close to what we envision as VR now, right? Really transporting somebody into another dimension. Okay, so that was already done like ages ago and not just in recent time. This is just to highlight that, that fact. Okay, a bit more revision. The substantial knowledge that we gain from the first week, right, is basically this, right? Which again, you know, why we put a bit more weight on such knowledge, although it feels a bit overly theoretical, but the fact is, yeah, this is knowledge that is created in a rigorous process lah, all right, of validating it, and you know, through experts, as well as doing some experiments to establish some of these facts now. Okay, so we talked about the reality virtuality continuum, okay, which is done by some of our early investigators in this space, Milgram and Kishino. Okay, in general, people refer to this as Milgram-Kishino RV continuum. Okay, so from real to virtual world, we sort of can use this as design dimensions. And whenever we're going to create an app, we think about these things, you know, how we are going to establish that. The original establishment of this concept is mainly from a systems perspective. Okay, remember that we spoke about system perspective as well as from the Zoom somehow just popped up on my screen. I need to shift that away. Yeah, okay, Zoom always trying to be clever and rearrange the interface elements. Yeah, I was trying to talk about the immersion as system properties and then immersion as user experiences. So just to link up with what we learned previously, you know, all this are actually from systems perspective. How, you know, the system qualities actually establish all of these things. Like this EWK is, you know, how much the system knows about, tries to model the real world. Remember that Strava example that we gave, which, you know, it's a augmenting kind of app, right? But it doesn't really show us, you know, like 3D models or anything, but it models the real world somewhat using GPS and other sensors from your bike or from your running gear. Okay, so it actually has some form of EWK somewhere in the middle over here, or more than just the middle. Okay, it models the world pretty well in terms of what it aims to do for cycling. Okay, and then for the fidelity one, the RF is basically, you know, talking about, yeah, inside the virtual experience, right? The things that you see inside, how close it matches the real world. Okay, and then the third one, this EPM thing, is when you interact with the thing, right? How does this system, what aspects of the system allows you to interact with it such that you feel that it is, you know, like the real world. It's a bit different from this one. This one is, you know, the things that the content that is in there. Whereas this one is the interaction mechanisms that it provides you. Like you can just think about, you know, in real world, you're not having any screen at all, no display, right? You're just looking at the real world. So different systems would provide different ways to view this thing world differently. And if you are looking at a screen, you know, how this interaction with the screen, how much it feels like really viewing at the real world versus, you know, putting on a HMD and then viewing it through there. How much does it seem like viewing the real world, indistinguishable from, you know, directly viewing it? So just note that there's differences here. Yeah. Okay. And then I posted this this paper, not thing, okay, in the Slack, right? If we look at Slack, what I posted in week 1 is this paper that revisits the RV continuum. All right, this is a recent-ish paper, okay, and it's very relevant to what we are doing, and it discusses, you know, what we are doing here in terms of developing AR, VR, XR content, and what we should think about. So I think it's sort of, to me, you know, an essential read, okay, because the previous paper, right, original Milgram Kishino paper, it's a long time ago and it's not even, you know, talking about HMDs. Whereas this paper, this new paper, is including every new device that we know of now. Okay, and the differences I've mentioned, I've highlighted here lah. You should certainly go and you know, try and browse through that paper. Okay, but you know, if you have really if you missed that or rather you find no time, right? This is a good summary. Sorry, I'm saying my own summary is good, but yes, I feel that the gist of the paper is all summarized here. Okay, so what this paper does is that it go and suggests a new way, new dimensions based on the old one. EWK is still the same, you know, how much of the real world is modeled in there, but the other two dimensions are different. This IM, very apt name, immersion, okay, not to be confused with you know, the immersion concept that is in the video. It's a bit different. I know people use the same terms to refer you know, conceptually to different things. Okay, well, immersion, yes, okay, but in the paper itself, okay, sorry, keep jumping to the wrong place. In this paper, revisiting paper itself, immersion means a specific combination of the previous two things, the RF and the EPM. Okay, and it can intuitively, it also, you know, relates to what we're talking about. Sorry, I need to burp. Okay, here, right, the immersion as system properties here. Okay, so that encapsulates, you know, the system, how you would provide for immersion. Then they realized that the last original paper did not factor in the perspectives of the user, which is why they added the last dimension called coherence, or CO for short. Okay, I'm just checking on time. I forgot to put my break time timer. Okay, so I'm just setting that. Okay, back to here, right? Yeah, I was just talking about CO, right? So CO is really how coherent what you're viewing with your perspective, with your expectations. Okay, so this is a way to link, you know, what you are experiencing with what you actually intended to see. Okay, expectations. So you can link this up with what we described in the video by the immersion as user experiences. Yeah, because here is where you will figure out whether a person's perception of the thing, right, is really what the thing tries to provide. Okay, so yes, how much it matches, put in another word, it put it in another way is how much what you're experiencing matches your expectations. So this is the last dimension. Okay, I have a note here to say that yeah, all these are but single academic papers. As much as the impact is right, it is certainly these papers are pretty significant, okay, in impacting the kinds of thinking about how developers would develop for such things. But just saying that the knowledge just advances very quickly lah. So don't really tie yourself too much down to the concepts in one single paper, but just understand that these are good tools, thinking tools for us to think about whenever we are building such applications. Okay, important note also, okay, when you're talking in the industry to people and using the word MR, that the common perception is sort of different from the MR that is, established over here. Remember, sorry, these two diagrams are the same, but in this kind of a concept originated by the RV continuum, mixed reality is really everything here, right? Mixing reality and virtuality. But the current industry perception of MR is slightly different, okay? Which is the next question I'm going to ask you. We mentioned this before. Okay, so please participate. Okay. Yes, this is what I just asked. What is commonly perceived to be the difference between AR and MR, since both of the terms seem like, meaning the same thing? Five seconds. Let me drink some water. Okay. Nice steps of the stairs, kind of a result. They are the same, certainly, arguable. Again, all these concepts, created by people, as long as you know what you are saying, okay, and you're able to articulate, explain yourself, and say why you feel that AR and MR are the same, I think it's fine. But what I'm trying to impress here is what we spoke last week about the common public perception, right? Most commonly, whether you're looking at videos or whatever, when people talk about MR, it's so closely associated with the thing that HoloLens is trying to come out, because the marketing campaign from Microsoft is just so strong, right? That nowadays, AR, VR, MR, the MR, right, is differentiated from AR. All right. It's always, these three things that are being mentioned. And why is three things and not two, AR and VR, is because of how successful Microsoft marketing is. And we should understand that, is what I'm trying to say here. Not saying that we are supporting Microsoft. No, in no way am I saying proposing that, but just saying that we should understand, now that the term MR is so well redefined by Microsoft, that yeah, it is trying to refer to this, that AR, you overlay objects here, but MR is like this glorified AR that has this quality of the virtual objects in there, understands your real world, most often spatially, that you put a dog in your overlay in your video, right? You have a video feed, you put a dog in there. The virtual dog can actually jump onto your your table, and the virtual dock can, rather than come and interact with you, which should be the case, it actually can interact with your environment that you see in the video. Okay, so that's the difference that currently perceived in MR versus AR. Yeah. So if we look back at here again, MR in the academic papers, famous academic papers, actually refer to a different kind of a concept, that everything in between reality and virtuality is mixed reality, which sounds like the more appropriate concept to me. Okay, but not sad lah, but the truth is MR, commonly perceived as what is described over here. Okay. Oh, I put the leaderboard early just to remind you that yes, every week we will have one winner, and if you are 2 times of the top scorer for the whole lesson, or not this current state, the end of this class, all right, if you're 2 times winner for all the classes that we have, the live sessions, then you will get plus 1%. Yes, sounds miserable, but it is still significant. And it's still something lah, to motivate you to participate and motivate you to have the best learning experience from what we are trying to facilitate here lah. Okay. Question 3. This question onwards is all about what you have seen in the video and how much you have read before coming into the session. Again, just to motivate everybody to say that yes, we are trying to align, what you are self-learning, okay, to what is important, okay, by structuring the questions in such a manner. Okay, also provides a way for us to revise some of the concepts earlier that you have seen. So this question is about from systems perspective. Okay, some of the terms here is not even mentioned. Okay, I understand. So this, I mean, and this question, it's sort of it's well, I am trying to say giveaway, but it's not a giveaway question. I'm just saying that there's more options for you to get it correct. There's no multi-select in Mentimeter lah. As long as you select this or this, it's all correct. All right. But if you select this 3, right, especially this highest one, it's wrong. Okay. So system perspective, spatial presence is actually part of the concept of presence, okay, from a user's perspective. Okay. So yes, this concept of presence, if you look through this video again, let me jump to, not sure if I can get to the right point. Yes, it's here. You can see this questionnaire, which is a way of evaluating this concept of presence in users after they use your immersive application, right? You give this questionnaire, you can actually test for how much presence there is, and the sub parts of this questionnaire, right, includes spatial presence, involvement, realism. Okay, so spatial presence is actually one of the things that is from the user's perspective or experience perspective, immersion as user experiences, okay, and not trying to describe a quality of the system or quality of the hardware, quality of the software. Is not that. Okay, spatial presence is not describing that. It's describing an experience. This is the difference that I wanted to highlight. And I see that 39 of you choose this, so I'm a bit concerned that the concept or the perspective that I'm trying to put through is not clear. So let me know what went wrong there. If you chose higher spatial presence as something that describes a system, okay, as an immersion property that is describing a system. Okay, let me know what your thinking is, so that I know how to resolve this or explain this better. Yeah. Okay, so FOV obviously is describing the system, and it is something that commonly entails better immersion because you just cover more of your view, right? Okay, wider FOV in the HMD, for example, even wider field of view for a super wide screen or super wide curved screen or surrounding screens, 360 screen, even to the extreme. Okay, that allows for you to potentially give more immersion. Okay, from a system perspective, you're building the system to have this property of wide FOV. The other one is 8K, yeah, so it's just describing a high resolution thing. Okay, so the resolution of a display is also something that describes immersion from systems perspective. The higher resolution, the better the fidelity of the graphics. And remember, one of the dimensions earlier is the fidelity of the graphics, right? The RF. So that actually allows you to this is actually not the RF, but let me just go back to that slide. So this thing over here, indistinguishable. So the more your resolution is higher, right? The interaction with the screen is better for you to, not differentiate between real world objects. Okay, so let me go back to here. Okay, and then the third thing that is correct here is the 6 degrees of freedom inside out tracking. So this is also it's more of a way for the system to model the real world, right? This is the first dimension that we've seen, the EWK just now. Okay, so again, it describes from a systems perspective. Okay, what is the quality of the system that provides for immersion. Okay, whereas all these other things, place illusion, lower cyber signals, all these are user experiences, and this affects immersion from a user experience point of view. Okay, this place illusion, I actually did not mention in the video, if you realized. Okay, place illusion, but I'm just trying to also have you be able to derive further from not just the concepts we described here. Okay, not just all these experiential concepts that we describe here, but other experiential concepts as well. This is just but a sampling of some of the most popular ones when we talk about immersion, but there's certainly much more than what we describe over here. Place illusion, plausibility illusion. Okay, sorry, my spelling, but anyway, it leads to the correct papers as well. Okay, are all other popular concepts, and just from the name itself, this is not really a thing that you would describe a system property, right? Okay, so I'm just having that answer over there as well for me to tell you now that it is more than just what we are seeing in that video. Okay, so this is an opportunity to highlight place illusion and plausibility illusion as well. So these are also good. You can see the citations. A lot of people are referring to this when they are writing other papers. Okay, are also important concepts. That means place illusion, very similar to the spatial presence, is the illusion of you being in that space. I'm not sure whether if I click on image, it will give me a nice image for me to explain what I'm doing here, but no, it doesn't. Okay, but just saying that if your VR experience or your application experience allows for a person to imagine that to have the illusion that he's in another space, then you would sort of succeed in your achieving this dimension of immersion, place illusion. And then plausibility illusion. Okay, let me just type that in there. Is another thing that you can establish in terms of letting your users have the illusion that this is plausible, this is believable. Okay, this is something that I think is real. Okay, so that is another dimension that improves immersion. Okay, and this is different from feeling that you are in that space, spatially in that place. Okay, it's like your interactions with the NPCs over here, right? They feel like they are real people. Then you have achieved this plausibility illusion. you know, this is more than just VR, right? It's just in general in games as well. You can also apply this concept of plausibility illusion. How if your game is targeting realism, for example. And in any case, you know, you can also ask ChatGPT. I know I sound like a big fan of it, and which in fact I am. So, um, um, but I'm just saying that, you know, whether it's ChatGPT or, you know, other things, make use of the tools that we have on hand to help you understand things that you may not be able to do so. And this is just one way to do it. Yeah. So, yes, please explore more into the concepts that we are talking about here. Okay, I hope I have not lost you in explaining this one question. But again, you know, the questions are here for me to expand on the concepts that you have seen in the video. Both revise for you to revise and focus on what is important, what are the key concepts, as well as for me to expand further. Okay, so this is not really just a quiz, just you know, to establish that fact. Any questions? Very silent. It feels like I'm losing people by explaining, you know, theoretical concepts. So let me know that as well. Thanks. There's one clap. Let me see who. Hey, I cannot see. Why I cannot associate a clap to a person? 2 claps. Thanks. Okay. Thanks for showing me 5 claps. Yes, please. Response. You know, helps me know that you know, this is still interactive. Yes. Okay. Next question. Okay. Hopefully I've explained enough for you to choose the right thing in this very related question from previously. Okay. Obviously, if you did not go through the video, you would find it hard to answer these questions, which is to be expected. And you know, design in such a manner. Okay, so those of you who have taken the time to do your self study, okay, obviously you would have a higher chance of getting your 1 mark. Okay, which is also purposefully designed in that manner. Okay, so after this, if you find that, you know, you you know, can't find the time to go through the material beforehand, then this is your consequence, you know, and hopefully this consequence will make you go and do it better the next time. That means actually go and look at the video which you know, I spent so much time, although it looks simple to create. Okay, as well as, you know, go deeper into the details of all the different things that I've put together in this short, almost 30 minutes video. Okay, good. So it looks like most of you have you know, understood from the last question that these 3 aspects are the immersion properties from an experiential perspective. That means in the perspective of user experiences. Okay, which is this part of the video. Okay, immersion as user experiences, and then actually the user experience part is much longer. Okay, because, you know, as with most application development, there is this notion of a user-centered design, right? As well as design thinking. Okay, all this very fancy words, but actually fancy words, and maybe, you know, the concepts are also, you look at it, it's like obvious lah. I mean, obviously I want to plan for something, I build something, I test something, and so on. This is like the cycle that represents most of how people should build things. Okay, but I think the main thing is that all these terms, right, brings our attention much more to the user, which is really what we are trying to build for. Whether the user is ourselves or, you know, somebody else, we need to think about who is the user. You know, when we write user stories as well, it's always starts with the user, right? Okay, so yeah, just wanted to highlight that that I think, you know, the user is really the most important thing that we should be thinking of instead of when we are building an application now, because application, especially an immersive application, you're trying to allow for a user to interact with your application. And most of you, coming, if you are attending this, as a DigiPen related student, I think a lot of you are building with the intention of becoming somebody who can build things that are interactive, real time, and just engaging the user. So I think that's important to understand why this section on immersion as user experiences is much longer than the previous part, which I find it's a bit more obvious concept that if you are trying to describe immersion from a system perspective, it is basically thinking about what kinds of features you can provide to potentially have immersion, to potentially increase immersion, it potentially include immersion. Okay, but really how you know whether a person actually perceives immersion is all the concepts at the back. Okay, which this is a sampling of the concepts as well. All right, moving on. Where is my interface? Okay, here. Question 5. Okay, targeting a specific thing, which I've mentioned that you should probably read, some of the abstracts. But even without reading the abstracts, these things are already described in the video, lah. All right. Just answering, thinking back, what you have seen in the video. What are some of the things that were evaluated in the paper? Yes. Exploring gameplay experiences on the Oculus Rift. Let's search for that. Okay, let's see. Results first. Yay, most of you have chosen the right things. But happy to see this, because actually if you did not look at the video, you would not be able to answer this, right? Because this is a specific paper written by me ages ago. If you never look at the video or the paper itself, you wouldn't know what did I actually evaluate. Okay, all of these are potential things that any VR research paper can evaluate. Okay, so I'm happy to see this result over here. Okay, so this is the paper. Okay, exploring gameplay experiences. This is when Oculus Rift DK1 was just released. Again, this is associated to the premium conference Kai. This is the game version of Kai. Okay, a sub conference of the Kai. Okay, and here we basically evaluated. Is there a video here? Okay. Anyway, there's a video somewhere. I'm just not spending time to find it. Okay, but I think it should have been linked easily, or you can just find it online. But yes, what we did here, maybe looking at the picture is easier, which is here, right? Okay, sorry, we wasting too much time. I'm just seeing the time is running away. But yes, this was when we evaluated people playing Half-Life 2, Half-Life, or one of them. Okay, too long ago. This paper too long ago, 2015. And then we evaluated it across a desktop on the first DK1 Rift, as well as sorry, not as well as, just those two things, right? Yes. And then figure out the differences between them. Okay, so I myself think that we found something interesting in that paper, so please go and read that. Certainly DK1, the kinds of immersion from a system perspective is very much lower than what we have nowadays. Even the lowest, simplest version of on the cardboard, for example, may even be better than the DK1 experience back then. Arguable, obviously, but just saying that, yeah, things have moved on a lot, but still we found some interesting things in terms of cyber sickness. So please have a look at it. It's not a difficult read. Okay, if you really wanted to look at the detailed results, obviously it gets more in depth. Okay, but otherwise, just browsing through the key findings, I think still allows you to understand some of the things in there. I mean, some of the key, especially for cyber sickness. All right. I'm just going to quickly do this since. Okay, it's not here. Okay, I'm not going to spend time. I was finding that. But anyway, yeah, look at it. There's some videos online as well. Okay, where's my interface? Next question. Okay, same paper. I'm just asking what are the quantitative data? This gets a bit more specific, really, for the more hardcore people who read the paper. What quantitative things did I actually gather? Okay, while you're answering that, I can actually switch account. Okay, because I wanted to show that video. Playlist. Research. Okay, let me just quickly browse at the results. Okay, user behaviors. So this is a question. Sorry, why did I do that? Let me close that. This is a question to understand the differences between the types of data that was collected. Okay, in that paper, actually, we measured, we did, investigate user behaviors, but this was not quantitatively collected. That means we didn't like give them a questionnaire to actually fill in from a set number of user behaviors. What behavior did you experience, and so on. We actually asked them to think aloud. Okay, if you have watched that video, which I think now is a good time. My timer just told me that yes, I think we should. Well, it's almost time, so but let's just take a 3 minutes break, all right, and then we will come back at 16:31. Okay, while I find that video. Okay, let's just do that. Okay, to have a quick bio break. Okay, my interface is going haywire, but yeah, let's go and have a break. I'll see you back here soon. Sorry. Okay, I hope you are back. Let me just switch off my timer. Okay, and in the time you were away, I found the video that I was trying to show, which is not much. And actually, I realized that it is also on the ACM website. But anyway, this was this to have some visuals of what we did. The quantitative stuff that we gathered can be shown over here. We basically stuck on sensors while they were playing. So this is quantitative, physiological data, which is one of the answers here. Okay, so if you have read the paper, you will know that we did that. Okay, as well as, sorry, flow, we also evaluated that quantitatively because we actually gave a questionnaire. All right, after they go through the experiences, it's not shown in the video, but we actually gave them a questionnaire to evaluate that. Again, if you have read the paper, you would have, or even read the abstract, right? You would have, found that out. Okay. Yeah, so this was what we did. All right. This is a different paper, but I'm just using it as an example. It's using the same methods, right? A different paper, but using the same method. This paper was on Portal. But anyway, back to this. Presence, we did not actually even, evaluated that in that paper. Okay, so this is not there. Cyber sickness, yes, we did, but it's not quantitative. Okay, the only quantitative thing is physiological mainly, as well as flow, which is a questionnaire. And what is it a quantitative? Because it is a questionnaire, and then we actually collected numbers on how many people are rating it on a scale. Okay, so that's a quantitative data. I think the next question, again, it is reinforced exactly what we mentioned. Sorry, this is a different question on a different paper. Okay, but it's also similar, quantitative. Okay, reinforcing what we know. This was the other paper on VR locomotion. Okay, same question, quantitative data. Okay. Okay, good. I mean, this is a better result than what we had just now. But, still, a lot of you have chosen user behaviors. Okay, so we did user behaviors. Even this term itself, it is very subjective. Okay, so in terms of quantitative, right, we didn't employ anything that actually collected numerically analyzable data, okay, from in this aspect of user behaviors. Physiological responses, I think you chose this because you sort of did not look at this paper, or were confused that this was the previous paper. It's actually a different paper. We use different methods. All right, so this paper is the one that we did the VR locomotion with LTA. Okay, again, exploring, yeah, game, sorry, let me just copy this thing. Yep, so this was the paper that the current question is referring to. And in this paper, we had self-reports, which are basically questionnaires, but they are not user behavior. We're not collecting user behaviors, right? We're collecting experiences related to cyber sickness, presence, and flow. Okay, which is why flow, presence, cyber sickness are all the correct answers over here. Okay, so again, this benefits those of you who have done the self study exercise before coming into this live session. Okay, Seems like no questions at all, but if you have. Hey, sorry. I thought it was no questions, but it's actually the interface are not prompting me on anything. There's no number on my chat chat icon, so I thought that there was nobody asking anything. Okay, since I'm looking at the chat, maybe I just address some of the questions there. Most of them are directly addressed to me. Okay, wrong Zoom account. I think yeah, that's fine. Just screenshot, your correct Zoom account to me. Technically, you're asking question for AR, VR. Sorry, AR and MR. If AR can eventually perform spatial understanding, will it be considered MR? Yeah. So if your notion of AR is that it understands spatially, then we would actually term it as MR in terms of the commonly perceived notion of MR today. Again, we're not trying to confine ourselves into definitions, but my intention was just to be aware that the idea of MR today, commonly perceived when you talk in conversations, is the fact that your overlaid objects can understand the environment. And yes, most frequently it's about understanding spatially. Okay, so it's just knowing that, this is the common perception, but not asking you to, hey, your perception should be like that. But, knowing this for a fact, when you're in conversations, you can understand other people in the industry better. Okay, so next question, spatial presence. So Yongli was asking, in a direct message, higher spatial presence as a general grouping for all system features. Okay, noted on that interpretation of the English. Okay, the word spatial presence sometimes without properly again defining. You can also define it that way. Okay, but anyway, it allows for us to highlight that term here. All right, for you to have a look at it better. Okay, so that's the main point over here. Okay, next, the other questions. Cyber sickness was determined not to be correlated to immersion. Okay, so there's this Yongyi is saying that maybe you have read somewhere that cyber sickness is not related to immersion. Yes, there indeed are such papers. Okay, if you just search for this cyber sickness relation to immersion, some people actually say that it's not related. Some people even say the relation is negative. That means it's the higher immersion means lower cyber sickness. Okay, higher cyber sickness means lower immersion, which is sort of logical. Yeah, which is also what most people will be saying and will be finding out. But as we learn more and more about different kinds of contexts in which AR, VR is experienced, we may have different answers. But again, all these are like dynamic knowledge that is always surfacing and resurfacing, and research is all about repeating experiments and verifying, validating, other than just creating new knowledge. All right, so we can certainly improve our understanding by being more aware of what are the latest research that people are doing. Okay, conclusion of in response to your thought over here that cyber sickness was determined not related to immersion, I think that is not a fact that is well established. Okay, I think the most common notion is still this first article, this finding from the first result when we Google it. Okay, if you go and actually Google more and then looking at many of the reviews of papers, you can see that more commonly, the more sick you are, the lower the immersion, because intuitively it brings you out of the immersion, right? Because once you feel sick, you are not experiencing it, experiencing what we intended in the right way. But thanks for highlighting this as well. Okay, in this paper, okay, sorry, not this paper, the Kai, let me just quickly, this one. in my old paper, there was actually an interesting finding that some participants, actually it's in the video, right? I did highlight that. I'll not spend time scrubbing through the video, but one interesting finding here is that some people actually mentioned that the more sick they are, they felt like the more they want to kill the virtual zombies. I mean, what do they refer to in Half-Life? Okay, the the head crab zombies, right? The more they wanted to to destroy, all the enemies, because they felt that the the feeling of sickness, the fact that they are disoriented and want to puke, right? It feels like it's the environment causing that, the virtual environment. The zombies are causing that feeling to him, and it makes him even more wanting to act in an adverse manner. So that is also interesting, and that actually is account of the reverse relationship, right? Higher cyber sickness means higher immersion, which sounds a bit crazy, but that was what we found in that paper long time ago. Okay. Yeah. In general, of course, that's not true. In general, we don't want to induce the feeling of sickness. I'm not asking you to induce feeling of sickness. Please make that clear. Okay. In general, we don't want that. Okay. And I mean, any feeling of sickness is bad. There's no strong relation to health, but the fact that your body is telling you that this is wrong, I think we should respect that. That nature, how our bodies are made to experience things. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thanks for the questions. Let's move on. Did I mention everything that I wanted here? Yeah. Yeah. So these two things are not quantitative data that we collected, and it's not even data that we collected. Okay, physiological responses are normally collected quantitatively, but this paper doesn't collect that. All right. Next question. Okay, qualitative data. I know this sort of getting more and more feeling like a design class, but I think this is like essential knowledge when we are trying to develop such applications. We need to understand the effects on people, okay, and knowing how to evaluate these things, right? Yeah, we are not trying to repeat what is being done by other modules in evaluating your code quality and so on. Here we're talking about immersive applications, and it is mostly about the interaction that you provide and the experience that you provide. Okay, so not sharing my screen. Yes. Thanks for still doing the question. Okay, even without me sharing the screen. Yep. So these are the few qualitative data. So other than collecting flow presence cyber signals quantitatively, that means we actually giving them a questionnaire that allows us to quantitatively put it on a chart, looking at tables, do some sort of a statistical t-test and so on to establish statistical significance. So that is quantitative. Other than that, we also ask them to give us responses qualitatively. That means talking about it. Okay, something that cannot be quantified, just telling us their responses. So that is qualitative. We did both of that for flow presence and cyber sickness in this paper. Okay, because we asked them to think aloud during the study. All right. Where are the videos? I thought this would have the videos linked to them. Oh, okay. Only the recent ones. Okay, so I think I no need to replay that video, but yes, that is the case. And similarly, user behaviors. Okay, we are asking them about or we are observing their behaviors. If you've seen that paper or just seen my video explaining that paper, you would have seen that I'm trying to observe, or we as the researchers are trying to observe what they are doing in the paper, sorry, in the experiment, okay, that relates to the different conditions that we gave them, right? Wow, trying to play, but takes too long. Never mind. I think most of you would have seen it. Anyways, okay. Next question. Okay, more of a very applied question after you have gone through the reading material and the video. So I'm asking, like, what is the best type of data to answer this question? Okay, then the research question is whether the VR version is more immersive than the desktop version. This is really like what I have done over here, right? Okay. But if I wanted to aim, so it's a bit different because there I did not aim for just immersion. Okay. So if I wanted to answer this question, what is the best way to do this? Okay. So here I'm trying to establish the fact that, you know, immersion as described in the video. Let me just go back to oops, wrong account. Let me switch it back again. Okay. Notion. So when talking about each one of these concepts, presence, flow, and cyber sickness, right? Actually, all of them, I started each concept by saying that, you know, the main or the most popular way is to actually use questionnaires, which is what I'm trying to highlight through this question. That if you wanted to compare between two, that means you want to say either the VR version or the desktop version has higher or lower immersion, then the best way is to actually collect things through questionnaires and then do a statistical analysis to say that it is statistically more significant on the desktop version than the HMD version, for example. So if we look at a specific example of just cyber sickness itself, okay, you know, this kind of a questionnaire allows you to collect, again, numbers. And these numbers can be comparable, right? You draw two charts, like in the paper that I have done. Sorry, this is not the best way to talk about this thing, but in the paper that I've shown some here, okay, yes. When you put things on a chart like that, okay, you can statistically make a statement that, you know, in the full body condition, it is much higher. In this case, it's not lah, okay. But let's say this thing over here, for the fluency of performance, you know, this thing, okay, which is the arm swing, I guess. Sorry, this is the leg lift. Leg lift condition is, you know, higher in terms of fluency of performance than the full body condition. Because, you know, we can prove using statistical tests that this is, you know, less than a certain chance of randomness. Okay, so we can do that if we have this kind of numbers over here. So whenever we're doing a comparison thing, I think we aim for questionnaires more than the rest of the other things. Okay, that's what I'm trying to express. So for post-experience interviews, which most of you are choosing, it is a much more qualitative approach. And a qualitative approach is more to understand why something is happening. Like when we have this data over here, that this is higher than that, right? When we want to understand why this is higher, we would probe further into the questions and then try and explain this phenomenon. Okay, but in our case, if we just wanted to say VR is higher in terms of cyber sickness than a screen-based setup, then a questionnaire, putting it on a chart, is much more established, clearer, gives people much more confidence in that result. Okay, next. Similar line of questioning, okay, but asking a different thing or giving you a different scenario. This scenario, the research question is asking what are the user experiences. Okay. So what kinds of user experiences does this new form of intervention afford during the class? Note that before this course itself, I actually sent out a mass email. Not I, but I asked the admin to send out a mass email asking for your participation in exactly the study that I'm describing here. So, we are still performing that study, okay, to run an entire classroom in VR. So if you're free and next time you receive that email, I appreciate your participation, okay. But anyway, yes, I know it's not a big margin that the highest bar is from the rest, but still good that most of you are choosing the right kinds of data, okay? Because here we're talking about what kinds of experience. So certainly the best way is to ask them to voice out their experience when they are experiencing it, okay? And questionnaires doesn't really allow us, unless we can enumerate every single kind of experience that we expect people to tell us, then we can use a questionnaire. But this kind of a what question, more often than not, we use a more qualitative approach, and looking at what this kind of approaches are, this gives us the best experience. This post-experience interview, I think, is also pretty good, okay? But because it's after that, the fact of experiencing it, you may not get the most accurate answers, because they may forget what they're experiencing. Unless you record a video, like one of our previous studies as well. We record a video and then ask them to look at the video and then articulate what they have felt during the time when they see themselves in the video. Okay. Otherwise, thinking aloud when they're experiencing is the best way to get all the details of what they are experiencing. Okay, for this kind of a what question. All right, observations possible also, which most of you, a lot of you, sorry, not most, a lot of you have chosen, which is almost correct, because you are trying to observe while they are doing and then taking down notes or recording the video and then coding the video. This allows you to also, from a third person perspective, think about what are all the experiences. But you can never guess what a person is feeling inside, okay, unless you ask them. Is why this answer is bigger than the rest. Okay. Maybe we can have one more question. Okay, question 11. Okay, so I'm asking which one of the following conditions is not a symptom of cyber sickness. If you have watched the video, again, this is described in a bit of detail. What are all the constructs, especially from the questionnaire. Okay. So I think this will be the last question, and let me just put the leaderboard here by editing. Okay, let me just give me a minute. Okay. Right, it should be done. Okay, thanks. Good. The highest bar is the correct answer, so that's always good to see. All right. Blurred vision, yes, it is a symptom of cyber sickness. This is oculomotor symptom. Oculomotor refers to oculomotor. Okay, I think you or yeah, this is correct. So it refers to things related to the eye. Okay, and so blurred vision, difficulty to focus. Okay, these are all oculomotor symptoms, and it's one of the constructs of cyber sickness. All right, eye strain as well. Similarly, it's related to the eye. Giddiness, obviously, when you feel that your head is spinning when you're in VR, this is also part of cyber sickness. Vertigo, similarly, especially when you're standing high on high virtual ground. Okay, sometimes you'll feel this super light-headedness, okay, and feeling that you want to faint, okay. So that is also cyber sickness. All like this in general, motion sickness derived kind of feelings are all part of cyber sickness. Loss of self-consciousness, this one is not, okay, and this is actually part of another big concept called flow. All right, and it's not cyber sickness. Okay, cyber sickness, you would be difficult to lose your self-consciousness because you're conscious about your sickness. Okay, so it's actually the reverse thing. All right, let me see who is the winner. Okay, drum roll. Wow, is this the same person as the last week? Okay, if so, well done. You already got your 1 mark, right? I sort of remember that this is, but anyway, yes. Whoever you are, just send me a screenshot. Okay, and if you are the same person, continue to work hard and put in the same amount of or even more amount of effort in going through the self-learning material. And for the rest, I think your goal is probably to beat Mr. or Miss HY over here. Okay. With that, I think we need to stop. It is exactly 5 p.m. Reminder that this week the session is live. I mean, in person, face to face. The session, I mean, the lab session. I keep stammering because I'm trying to shift my screen around while talking, which disrupts my concentration. Okay, so yes, if you are unsure where the place is, it's all in the FAQ. Okay, it should also be in your schedule, but in case it's wrongly mentioned anywhere, the central point of source of truth is here. Okay, Pascal, SR3E, Thursday I'll see you in person. Okay, otherwise that's all for this session. Yes, bye. Okay, Yongli, if you haven't left, the IPA, thanks for using my acronyms. The IPA should also be here. That means a description of what it is. It's here. Yep, thanks for everybody who's saying thanks while you're leaving. Okay, while I answer some remaining questions. So the details are here. I will describe it in detail on Thursday. Yep. Song Jia would also be here to run you through what the current XR author is. Okay, but before that, please go and read this thing. Okay, but because I will not read for you. Okay, I'll just describe the essential things that I need you to understand. All right, otherwise we will see each other on Thursday in person in SR3E Pascal. Okay, bye bye.